Hey guys, Chad Hoover Kayak Bass Fishing. Today we are doing a little special get together. I'm fishing with the guys from Bonafide Kayaks. We're here in Greenville, South Carolina, and Buff hooked us up with a real special place. It's a little lake where we're not gonna have to worry about a lot of pressure. These guys were chomping at the bit. I don't even have my gear ready. They're already on the water, and Drew's already caught a fish. So you know, sometimes there's those places that you don't think there's a bass there. You know there's a bass there. That place looked like it was as bassy as it gets, and no fish. So it's pretty disappointing. So now what I'm going to do is cast over here to a naked spot that doesn't look like it should have a fish, and there'll probably be one there. So I tried like the super fishy looking spots first thing this morning, and I tried to go the route of the antithesis of the fishy looking spot. Now I'm just coming over here to fish by this flower. There we go. This is a decent fish. Oh. Well guys, maybe there's something to that flower power thing, but actually in all seriousness, let me show you what I'm throwing, why, and tell you about the move that I made. The water's shallow in a lot of this lake, and it was pretty hot yesterday evening. It was about 88, 89 degrees, and the water temperature was up to 80 degrees. This morning it's in the low 70s, and I figure the water that's going to be the coolest or stay the coolest the longest is going to be up against the dam. I'm sitting in 16 feet of water right now. The dam is about 4 foot right off the bank. So I decided to throw the chatterbait. There's a definite stain to the water from the rains that they had last week, so I went with the gold blade. But one thing I like to do to a lot of my chatterbaits is take a rage tail swimmer after I fish it weedless and tear the nose up and cut it off and make a trailer out of it. That allows me it does a couple things for me. Gives the bait a little bit more wobble, gives it a little bit more tail, but when I reel it and kill it to let it fall, it actually slows the rate of descent down. It puffs the skirt out a bit, which creates more resistance through the water, and it creates a little more lift if I want to reel it faster and wake it just below the surface. So this is the Z-Man Hammer, and it's got a rage tail swimmer trailer on it. I'm using the gold blade for the stained water, and then a more natural shad color for the skirt. It's a good 1-2 punch in stained water that's starting to clear up. If it's stained water that's getting dirtier, I'll go with a gold blade and chartreuse. But so far, that's the ticket. Only thing I've caught a fish on. Best fish I've caught here. And we're going to see if there's any more fish against the dam. Oh, dude. Big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish, big fish. There we go. You gotta catch up to him. That's why I like a high-speed reel for this. This is a good fish, man. Good fish, guys. Oh. Yeah. Love it. Golly. That's a chunk. That's a chunk. Love it. Joker annihilated that chatterbait. Had him right in the top of the lip. And that's a chunk, baby. Yeah. Sun's just peeking over the top of the trees, lighting that dude up. And let's get him back in the water and we'll try to catch another one. You know, 10 years ago, I would have been not as big an advocate. I wouldn't have been anti-high-speed reels, but I wouldn't have been as big an advocate. But one thing about kayak fishing is when you set the hook, especially with a moving bait, the fish is moving towards you. And a lot of times, if you don't have your power pole down, if you're not anchored, when you set the hook, the fish is coming at you and you're going at it, and you really need that ability to catch up to that fish. So today, there's a couple things that I like with a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, and a lot of times even a crankbait rod setup these days, specifically for fishing from a kayak. So I've got a moderate action rod. I got a rod that's got a lot of flex to it. So when I'm reeling the bait, the rod is kind of preloaded. But if it runs into something, it allows it to deflect and not hang up. But if I set the fish and the fish jumps, it also gives me a bit of a shock absorber to keep from losing the fish. But the key to finishing off the whole setup is this high-speed reel. So I've got a Lew's Custom Pro, and this is a 7.5 to 1. I even go as high as an 8.3 to 1, because when that fish hits the bait running at me, and if the kayak goes towards it, it gives me that line take up and that speed to catch back up to the fish. And I can tell you it's made a world of difference for me putting fish in the boat that I otherwise would have had jump, throw the hook, run at me, shake the bait, get tangled up in cover. And so add a high-speed reel to your arsenal if you don't have one, because it definitely will put the advantage back into your favor when those fish are running at the boat, or if the boat is converging on the fish. You know, some people have a hard time getting up in the mornings and getting started, getting going. And I don't have that problem. This is the best part of my day. This is the part that I look forward to. And so, you know, it's mornings like these that are the reason that I do what I do. It's just being out here when the world comes alive. I mean, we're sliding the kayaks into the water this morning, and there's a bald eagle flying by. There's no road traffic, or there's no road noise yet because the traffic hasn't picked up. There's no dogs barking. And then we hear turkeys gobbling over just as the sun just starts to come up. You know, on the days when I'm going fishing, I wake up before the alarm goes off. On the days I'm not going fishing, I might hit the snooze button 10, 12, 15 times. Fishing, the cure for the snooze button. Here we go. Yeah. All right, look at the gut on that little dude. He is feeding up. Let me show you something. Look at that, okay? I'm gonna reach in there and get it out and show you exactly what it is. But it's important to illustrate what I'm catching them on. If I can get him to let it go. He freaking swallowed it. But if you see that tail sticking out, that that's a threadfin shad. Let me see if I can get it. This is a point I really want to illustrate, so I'm gonna take this shad from me. All right, we'll come back to this. Let's get this guy back in the water. All right, so look at this. I'm gonna show you something. This is what they're eating, and this is what I'm throwing. So that's a threadfin shad. Look at the size match is almost perfect. And if you notice, all the scales are coming off. That's because I just pulled it out of his gullet. But look at the color of that eye. See that gold color and that gold around the face? I don't know if it'll translate in video, but that's a big reason that I use a gold blade. If there's any kind of tinge or stain to the water. And like I said, I like to add that Rage Tail Swimmer because I like to push the profile of that chatterbait out just a little bit. And man, look at that. It's almost, it's actually not almost, it's a perfect match. Look at that. So that's what they're eating. And that's what they're eating. So I'm not always a fan of match the hatch, but when they're on a thread fin bite, the closest you can get to matching the forage that they're eating, the better your chances of getting eaten are going to be. And that's the third good fish that I've caught this morning. All 3 of them on the chatterbait, all 3 of them mimicking that forage base right there, the old threadfin shad. Pretty.
Come here. Yeah. Yes. Just like that, the bite turns back on. He wanted it too. This guy crushed it using a little Z-Man swim bait. Been finding little shallow pockets with submerged grass and just bringing that swim bait right across the top of it. And they've just been hammering down, man.
Well, Drew was a little bit more excited about that fish than I was. I don't think I've woken up yet. Need coffee. You know, so I regularly talk about having a positive mental attitude, and I think it's very difficult to have that positive mental attitude if you're not awake. And so I'm not gonna say that you have to drink coffee, but if you're a coffee drinker, don't not drink coffee before you go fishing. This message is brought to you by Don't Leave Your Yeti in the Truck.
There you go, baby.
Or you can just catch a fish and that'll do it too. All right, so this guy makes the morning start off right. So, you know, I'm sitting here and Drew's over there smashing them. And I thought about downsizing my bait because he's catching them on that little swim bait, but I decided to just upsize my fish instead. Yeah, that was fun. Now, that's as good as caffeine to get you going.